During the 19th century, Nuevo León became the center for commerce, not only for foreign markets but also local capital, leading the north of Mexico to a considerable technological and industrial advance. In the middle of this series of transformations and advances was the state of Nuevo León, with the enormous geographical advantages in the sense of having a flat and accessible composition. Many of the local industries grew in their ability to trade with the main country in the world at that time, and also a neighbor of Mexico, that was the United States of America. This company is located in the city of Monterrey, which is the capital of Nuevo León. Within this movement of development that emerged in 1990s was the creation of the company Aceros de Monterrey, which would be the first giant steel industry of Latin America, with an investment of $5 million at the time, which is equivalent to a current investment of more than $100 million, making it one of the most important investments in the history of Mexico. Unfortunately, the investment did not pay off as this company didn't develop as expected. In this video, I will be talking about why the development of the company Aceros de Monterrey did not live up to its expectations. During its opening in 1990s, Aceros Monterrey became the manufacturing company of the steel line that was intended to be the largest in the Americas. Sadly, the inadequate handling combined with the negative effects generated by the movements that occurred during the time were the factors that led the company to bankruptcy. Although the government did its best to take the reins of the company, the investment required for its operation was way over the line. This led to the closing of the company in 1986, after only 86 years of operation. The main products that were handled during its operating time were iron and steel. Unfortunately, this company that was intended to be the pillar of economic and industrial development, not only in Nuevo León but in Mexico and throughout America, resulted to have very harmful effects on its environment. What was intended as a standard of modernity and progress concluded being a reality of pollution, social and environmental deterioration. This led to the rise of Monterrey City to being considered one of the most polluted cities in America, as commented by David Garciales in his article El Universal about how in the last years of operation, Fundidora's neighbors presented a serious problem by the pollution. This led to the complaints to the institution and to the government due to the effects that the company caused in people's houses and in their environments. The symbol of those chimneys, with large clouds of smoke coming out of them, which sought out to be a voice of progress, economic growth, and strength, ended up being a serious ecological problem and bringing harmful effects to its environment, in addition to the fact that it ended up bringing significant amount of debt. It has been proved that all the companies in the steel industry has a strong impact in the environment due to the processes under which their production takes place. For example, the need to work at high temperatures requires that there is airwear due to the particle pollution, since all the process is developed by heating solid materials at high temperatures to be able to decompose them in their fundamental parts and also give them purity, which throws into the environment a series of important pollutants. The company, due to its enormous investment, was in charge of giving a change to the big companies of the country and in Latin America. It was designed to achieve a huge annual production of iron and steel items, among which were used in construction and industry. All these processes demanded enormous amount of basic metals that were necessary for their development. The way to obtain these metals was to bring them from different parts of the country, generating exploitation of the soil and also the Mexican mines. Steel is manufactured through a mixture of iron and carbon with other metals that serve to improve its chemical composition and give it a variety of hardness, resistance to the temperature, malleability, among other things. To obtain this metal, the company Aceros de Monterrey had to exploit different areas of the country. And also, since not all metals are found in the same places, they even had to exploit other countries. Another serious problem that originated due to the large amount of resources that this company needed was due to the acceleration in the extraction of minerals in the different mines of the country. Some of the operational factors were performed in an accelerated way without actually having a process, in order to comply with the demands of the company, which caused the aggressive exploitation of the soil. According to the Mining Yearbook, Mexico is a country with a large number of metals that are exploited within its territory, which happens under a certain observation and exploitation schemes that attempt in a certain measures not to be excessively aggressive with the environment. However, in the operational time of the fundidora, this didn't happen in this way, so there was no legislation that involved environmental deterioration to stop the exploitation. This legislative framework allowed companies such as Fundidora Monterrey and other companies to exploit Mexican soil very aggressively. Analysts mention that if the plant had not closed due to bankruptcy, probably in a life cycle and with its expected growth, they would soon leave the mineral reserves practically finished, leaving the company with no resource to manufacture. This would have led the company to a closure not due to bankruptcy, but due to the ending of natural resources. In conclusion, the Aceros Monterrey company, although it was intended to be a flashlight of progress, modernity, development, and economic growth in the north of the country, had the misfortune of becoming a financial error due to all the economic, social, and cultural problems that it caused. But most importantly, it generated a strong impact on the mining in the country, in addition to having significant environmental impacts. All of this with a single purpose: to recover the huge capital investment that had been made. The only objective of the company was to generate profit while ignoring and disrespecting the environment. The priorities focused on earning money regardless of the social costs, environmental, and natural resources extraction. Even though projects have already been carried out to reverse the effects, much more remains to be done, and a greater ecological commitment is required, since if you only think about financial matters, this company will continue to be just one more example of prioritizing much more in economic development and putting aside the extraction of our natural resources.